walk into a dealership to buy a car. But here's the secret the auto industry doesn't really want you to know.
Oh, yeah. This is the big one.
Right. That dealership doesn't actually care about selling you the metal on the lot. They are just using the car to sell you a loan. Welcome to Auto News Talk.
It just completely flips the traditional script. I mean, we always picture the automotive industry as this, bastion of mechanical purity.
Yeah.
Steel, glass, rubber, the spark of a welder on an assembly line. But the reality is that the old mechanical rules, they simply do not apply anymore.
They really don't. And that is exactly what we're mapping out here on Auto News Talk.
Mm-hmm.
The entire landscape is undergoing this massive, high-stakes recalibration.
It is.
We are tracking a singular narrative about how, extreme complexity is reshaping every single corner of this business.
Right, from the ground up.
Exactly. It starts on the factory floor with massive geographic gambles, bleeds into the fragile, glitchy software embedded in modern dashboards, and ultimately lands in the dealership finance office,
where the real battle for survival is actually happening.
Exactly.
To understand the sheer scale of this transformation, you just have to follow a single vehicle's journey. I mean, by the time the steel is stamped, the automaker is already betting its entire global strategy on regional margins.
Yeah, the pressure's on immediately.
And by the time the dashboard goes in, they're installing digital networks that are so delicate that a software bug can cause a physical safety crisis.
Which is terrifying.
It really is. And by the time that vehicle hits the showroom, the dealer is fighting off sophisticated fraud rings while trying to, mathematically engineer a profit out of soaring interest rates.
So let's start right at the beginning of that journey, on the manufacturing side. When we look at the sheer volume of what automakers are building, the strategy feels incredibly precarious.
Oh, absolutely.
Take Stellantis, for example. An Automotive World analysis broke down their global production footprint and, the reliance on one specific region is staggering.
Yeah, the central insight from that analysis is that Stellantis is using North America as the financial anchor for its entire global operation.
A massive anchor.
Right. Their global output is forecast to hit nearly 5.97 million vehicles, which is an 8.3% rise. But out of that massive global pie, North America is projected to produce about 1.78 million units.
Meaning nearly 1/3 of the company's entire global output, I think it's 29.7% to be exact, rests squarely on North American shoulders.
Yeah.
That is a massive load for one single market to carry.
It is, and the implication is critical here. North America isn't just another region for them, it's the ATM funding the automakers' broader transitions.
Right, because of the types of vehicles they build here.
Exactly. This volume is driven heavily by high-margin trucks and SUVs from Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, and Dodge. The profits generated by these specific large-scale vehicles are what allow the company to experiment with electrification and, restructuring in Europe and elsewhere.
Which makes perfect sense when you look at the profit margins on a loaded Jeep Wagoneer versus, a compact hatchback overseas.
Right. Totally different math.
But the analysis does leave us a bit in the dark on the granular execution.
Mm-hmm.
What this doesn't answer is exactly which specific North American plants or vehicles will see these volume shifts, because those details remain behind a paywall.
Yeah, we know the wave is coming, we just don't know exactly where it's going to crash.
Oh, exactly.
And while Stellantis is aggressively pushing for this massive unified volume in one specific region, the broader consumer market is doing the exact opposite.
Oh, completely.
Buyers don't want just one thing right now. They're demanding a wildly fractured lineup of powertrains.
You see this perfectly reflected in the car and driver industry updates. The automakers are hopelessly split. It's like watching a restaurant desperately trying to serve a strict vegan menu, a keto diet, and a traditional Texas BBQ, all at the exact same kitchen.
That is the perfect analogy, and that tension is everywhere in the product pipelines. Look at Ford. Yeah. On one side of the house, they're planning a $30,000 affordable EV truck that's fully integrated with Apple Maps.
Right.
But at the exact same time, they are teasing a 4-door internal combustion Mustang and dropping a new V6 engine into the F-150.
It's totally split.
Yeah.
And Ram is dropping their hybrid Hemi engines, while Audi is going big by launching the massive new Q9 SUV.
Yeah.
And in California, which is traditionally the undisputed bellwether for electric vehicle adoption, hybrid registrations have actually overtaken EVs. The market is just oscillating wildly.
It really is. And Car and Driver highlighted one detail that perfectly captures this identity crisis.
Oh, the Rizvani.
Yes. They described the Rizvani Beast X as a last gasp for General Motors' 6.2-liter engine.
A last gasp. That's so telling.
Right. It perfectly illustrates the incredible tension between the fading era of massive, naturally aspirated gas engines and the forced dawn of electric vehicles.
Automakers are just hedging their bets.
Exactly. They're spending billions to maintain parallel tracks because consumer adoption curves and government regulations, they just keep moving.
They simply can't afford to guess wrong, so they try to build everything. Though, what this doesn't answer is the exact registration numbers behind California's hybrid versus EV shift, or the specific volume behind Hyundai and Kia's reported record sales.
Right.
The narrative is clear, but the precise volume breakdown remains elusive in that reporting.
Still, the reality for the engineers is absolute chaos. When you try to serve the vegan, keto, and BBQ menus simultaneously, you have to pack an unprecedented amount of new technology into these shared vehicle platforms just to make them adaptable.
Which brings us to the second phase of the vehicle's journey, the dashboard. Packing all this tech into a car is causing serious growing pains.
Oh, major pains.
We aren't talking about a squeaky suspension or a misaligned door panel here. We are talking about severe software fragility, where a line of bad code creates an actual physical safety hazard on the highway.
Yeah, and the prime example of this just came through with a major Toyota recall filing.
The Camry one, right?
Right. They are recalling 508,354 Camry hybrids. And the core issue seems almost trivial at first glance. The 7.0-inch digital instrument cluster just simply goes blank on startup.
Which, I mean, a blank screen is certainly annoying. You lose your speedometer, maybe your fuel gauge.
Right.
But this specific recall filing outlines a much darker secondary effect. The software failure doesn't just hide your speed, it actually deactivates the vehicle's exterior turn signals and hazard lights.
Think about the implication of that for a second.
That's crazy.
It proves we have fully crossed the Rubicon. Vehicles are no longer mechanical machines. They are localized computer networks on wheels.
Yeah.
We have reached a point where a digital screen glitch can literally prevent a human driver from mechanically signaling a lane change to the cars behind them.
See, I was actually stuck on the engineering side of this when I first read it. Like, what this doesn't answer is the exact engineering reason why a dashboard screen failure physically severs the connection to an exterior light bulb.
Right.
You'd think a critical safety system like a turn signal would have a dedicated hardwired circuit, right?
You would hope so, but that just isn't how modern automotive architecture works anymore.
Wow.
The industry has largely abandoned those traditional copper wiring harnesses that run a physical line from the stalk on your steering column to the bulb in your taillight.
So what do they use instead?
They use network protocols, like a CAN bus system. It is basically a localized internet for the car.
Okay, so when you push the turn signal down, you aren't actually closing a physical circuit. You're sending a digital packet of data to a central module, basically asking it to please blink the light.
Precisely. And if the central module that controls the dashboard cluster crashes or, gets caught in a reboot loop, that digital command to blink the turn signal just vanishes into the void. The mechanical action is completely orphaned by the software failure.
That is the hidden cost of absolute digital integration.
Yeah.
So we have this vehicle built in massive numbers to fund global strategies, fractured by chaotic consumer demand and packed with fragile, interconnected software. Let's follow it to its final destination, the dealership showroom.
And this is where the business model completely flips on its head.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Because these vehicles are incredibly complex and expensive to build, the sticker price has skyrocketed. But a digital dealer article, which cites the Presidio NCM Average Dealership Performance Benchmark Report, lays bare a shocking new reality.
Yeah, dealers aren't actually making their real money on the front-end sale of the vehicle anymore.
Right. The profit center has migrated entirely to the back of the house, the finance and insurance office, or F&I.
Yeah.
The numbers from that benchmark report paint a very stark picture of this transition. Average net pre-tax profit across dealerships actually fell 11.2%.
Wow.
The average gross profit on a new car plummeted to $1,781. And for used cars, it fell to $1,253.
But look at what happened in the F&I office.
Right.
Average F&I income per retail unit rose 7.1%, climbing to $1,727 per unit.
That is almost identical to the front-end profit of a brand new car.
It is.
They're making just as much money structuring your loan and selling you gap insurance as they are selling you a 2-ton piece of complex machinery.
Because they have absolutely no choice. The macroeconomic environment is squeezing the consumer dry. NerdWallet data, sourced via Edmunds in that piece, shows the average annual percentage rate hitting 6.9% for new vehicles and a staggering 10.4% for used vehicles.
Let's just pause on that 10.4% used car rate.
It's huge.
That interest instantly devours a buyer's monthly budget. When a customer sits down in the showroom, they almost always have a strict ceiling on what they can pay per month.
Right. They know their number.
Exactly. Because the vehicle itself and the interest rate are so high, the car consumes that entire budget before the dealer even has a chance to make a profit on the metal.
Which brings up a brilliant concept highlighted in the digital dealer piece called payment architecture.
Payment architecture.
Yeah. Dealerships are now forced to reverse engineer the entire transaction. They have to build the deal around the customer's strict monthly budget from minute one, long before they can even discuss add-on products like extended warranties or prepaid maintenance plans.
So does this mean the traditional car salesman, like the guy who walks you around the lot, pops the hood, and talks about horsepower, is that guy practically obsolete now?
Basically, yes. They have been replaced by financial structuring experts.
Wow.
An F&I manager can no longer just slide a menu of products across the desk at the end of the transaction and hope you bite. They must have total command of interest rate buydowns, down payment leverage, and loan term extensions just to squeeze out a few $100s of margin.
So they are acting more like investment bankers than auto merchants.
They really are. But it raises a massive long-term limitation for the industry. Like, what this doesn't answer is whether F&I and the fixed operations can permanently offset that weaker vehicle sale growth if interest rates stay high long term.
Right. We really don't know the breaking point of the consumer's wallet. If the metal stops being profitable entirely, the dealership model starts to look incredibly precarious.
It does.
And when the finance office becomes the sole engine keeping the lights on, the pressure on those F&I managers goes through the roof.
And where there is immense operational pressure, cracks inevitably form in the system, which brings us to the dark side of this financial shift.
Yeah, the fraud.
Exactly. When the survival of your business depends entirely on pushing high-velocity loan structures, bad actors take notice.
Experian's Dealer Fraud Threat Report exposes an absolute epidemic happening right now. Nearly 9 in 10 dealers view fraud as a major concern.
9 in 10.
And these aren't small-time scammers trying to steal a set of floor mats. The financial hit is staggering.
Oh, it's massive.
Experian notes that 45% of dealerships lose between $10,000 and $20,000 on a single fraudulent transaction.
Transaction.
Right. And 31% lose even more than that. By the time a dealership realizes their system has been compromised, they average 4 fraudulent transactions out the door.
4 vehicles gone.
See, if I'm a general manager losing 20 grand a pop, my immediate instinct is to blame my staff.
Right, of course.
I'd assume my salespeople are just rushing to close deals to hit their monthly quotas, intentionally looking the other way when a driver's license looks flimsy or a pay stub looks photoshopped.
It is the natural assumption, but Ben Gill of Advent Resources argues the exact opposite in his analysis.
Really?
Yeah. He explains that it is rarely a case of malicious or negligent employees. It is almost entirely a symptom of what he calls process gaps.
Okay, break down a process gap for me. How does a criminal actually exploit the workflow of a modern dealership?
It all comes down to how data moves, doesn't move, between software systems. Think about the journey of a customer's identity. A salesperson takes your driver's license. They manually type your name and address into their CRM, their customer relationship database.
Right.
Then they email a scan of that license to the desk manager.
Okay, so the data has already moved manually twice.
Exactly. The desk manager then manually types that same information into a desking tool, which is the specialized software they use to calculate lease terms and loan payments.
Man, that's a lot of manual entry.
And it doesn't stop there. Finally, that profile gets pushed to the finance office, where it might be entered into yet another proprietary portal to submit to the banks.
So every time a human hand types that data, or a file is emailed across the building instead of securely integrated, it creates a blind spot.
It creates a massive vulnerability.
Right.
The sophisticated fraud rings know exactly how disjointed this workflow is. They aren't using fake IDs bought on a street corner anymore. They are using synthetic identities. They take a real, clean social security number, often belonging to a child or someone without a credit history, and they pair it with a completely fabricated name.
Like a financial Frankenstein monster.
Yes, exactly. They spend months building a synthetic credit profile. Then they generate perfect AI-altered pay stubs to match it.
Unbelievable.
If the dealership isn't electronically and securely verifying that identity at the very first touch point, that synthetic profile just sails right through all those manual handoffs.
Wow.
By the time the bank's deep forensic software flags the AI pay stub a week later, the physical car is already in a shipping container overseas.
The inventory is gone, the profit vanishes,
Yeah.
and the dealer is left holding a $20,000 bag.
Yep.
The implication here is a total paradigm shift for showroom operations.
Yeah.
Fraud prevention can't be an afterthought in the finance office anymore. It has to move to the very beginning of the interaction.
Exactly.
Dealerships have to standardize identity verification before they even hand over the keys for a test drive.
The entire workflow has to be locked down from minute one. You have to eliminate the manual data entry, connect the CRM directly to the desking tool, and remove the burden from the salesperson on the floor to act as some kind of forensic document detective.
The mandate to fix these process gaps is crystal clear. But what is incredibly frustrating is that we don't have a clear shopping list. Like, what this doesn't answer is what specific software vendors or exact digital tools dealerships should actually be buying to fix these gaps.
Right. The solutions are still being built as the threats evolve.
Yeah.
But if we pull back and look at this entire vehicle life cycle we've discussed, I mean, from Stellantis' factory strategy to the fragile Toyota dashboard to the complex financing and the high-tech fraud on the showroom floor, we start to see three undeniable themes emerging across the industry.
Let's lay them out.
First, complexity is incredibly costly. Automakers are spending fortunes trying to be everything to everyone. We see it in the fractured multi-powertrain product pipelines detailed in the car and driver updates, and we see the physical danger of it with Toyota's software bugs that literally sever the connection to hazard lights.
The second theme is definitely the total migration of margin. I mean, the metal itself is no longer the main profit driver.
Right.
The Presidio NCM benchmark data proved that the financial structuring, that payment architecture engineered in the F&I office, is the only thing holding the dealership model together in a high-interest rate environment.
And third is systemic vulnerability. Because the entire industry now relies on these complex digital and financial processes to survive, it opens the back door to massive $20,000 fraud losses driven by the exact process gaps Experian warned about.
When you look at those themes, you can see two massive contradictions pulling this industry in completely opposite directions.
Oh, for sure.
First, you have automakers like Stellantis banking heavily on massive unified production volume in North America to fund their future. But the car and driver updates show consumer demand is violently fractured across gas, hybrid, and electric options.
Right.
It is incredibly risky to build for unified volume when the buyer wants a bespoke, shifting powertrain.
And the second tension is happening daily on the showroom floor. Dealerships are supposedly in the business of selling cars, but their actual survival now depends almost entirely on back-end banking architecture and digital fraud prevention logistics.
Yeah.
The physical product they sell is becoming secondary to the financial instrument used to acquire it.
Which gives us the ultimate practical takeaway for anyone navigating this space today. Standardized digital processes and adaptable financial strategies, those are the new horsepower. It doesn't matter if your factory can stamp out millions of units, or if your hybrid engine is an engineering marvel. If you can't ensure the software in the dashboard works, and if you can't secure the loan terms at the desk without getting robbed blind by synthetic fraud, none of that mechanical engineering matters.
The mechanical era has peaked. As vehicles become rolling, networked software platforms, and as dealerships evolve into hyper-focused financial institutions dealing in complex loan structures and AI fraud defense, we have to ask a bigger question.
What's that?
Will the automotive brands of the future ultimately look more like Silicon Valley tech companies and Wall Street banks than traditional manufacturers?
It is a totally different ballgame, and the transformation's happening right in front of us. Thank you for joining us on this segment of Auto News Talk.
It's been great.
So here is a simple thing for you to watch for. Next time you walk into a dealership, pay close attention to exactly when they ask for your ID. Watch how the salesperson steers the conversation around your monthly payment before they even open the hood of the car.
Pay attention to the process.
Exactly. When you notice those tactics, you weren't just buying a car. You were watching the new industry survival playbook operating in real time. Keep your eyes on the road, and we'll catch you next time on Auto News Talk.